Copy 724, right. Descend and maintain 2000.
Descend and maintain 2074.
Comment 504, descend and maintain 3000.
3000, comment 504.
In this video, we're going to be covering Federal Aviation Regulations. It's also known as Part 91. So the first one is that if an in-flight emergency requires immediate action by the pilot, what authority or responsibilities does the pilot have? So the pilot authorities. So the pilot in command, also known as PIC, is directly responsible for and is the final authority as to the operation of that aircraft. So if an in-flight emergency happens and it requires an immediate action, the pilot in command may deviate from any rule in Part 91, which we're going to be covering, to the extent required to meet that emergency. So whenever the pilot in command deviates from the Part 91 rule, he should request, basically upon the request of the administrator, he is going to be writing a written report that why he deviated from the Part 91. Okay, what restrictions apply to the pilots concerning the use of drugs and alcohols? So no person may act or attempt to act as a crew member of the civil aircraft within 8 hours after the consumption of any alcoholic beverage, and while you are under the influence of alcohol, or while using any drug that affects the person's faculties in any way contrary to safety. And the last one is and while having an alcohol concentration of 0.04% or more in blood or breath specimen. And the third one is that is it permissible for a pilot to allow a person who is obviously under the influence of intoxicating liquors or drugs to be carried aboard an aircraft? So the answer is no. But there is an exception, which is like in an emergency where someone is being transported and basically he's a patient, and under the proper care he can be transported. So flying with intoxicated passengers, answer is no. Okay. The fourth one is portable electronics. So can we use the portable electronics while on board an aircraft? So the aircraft operated by a holder of an air carrier operating certificate or an aircraft operating under IFR may not allow operation of electronic devices on board their aircraft. Exceptions are that the portable voice recorders, some health related devices like hearing aids, heart pacemakers, stuff like that. Okay, can you drop anything from the airport, from the aircraft? Sorry, this is fifth. Dropping from airplane. So the answer is no. But in an emergency or hazardous conditions, this prohibition, the Part 91 does not prohibit dropping any object if reasonable precautions have been taken, and this is an emergency situation. Yes, you can drop something. Okay. Concerning a flight in the local area, is any pre-flight action required? If so, what must it consist of? So the pre-flight uh, actions. So the answer is yes. Pilot must familiarize themselves with all available information concerning that flight, including runway lengths length at the airport, and then takeoff and landing distances, and existing conditions like the weather conditions, stuff like that. Okay, what about the pre-flight actions? But like if you are not flying locally, uh, like if you are flying away from the vicinity of the departure airport, so far away airports. Like basically, what are the pre-flight actions the pilot should do in order to when he is not flying locally? But so basically, he should look for this. And there's an acronym new CRAF, KRAF. So it is NOTAMs. He should look at the NOTAMs. He should look at the weather, like weather reports and the forecast. He should look for known ATC traffic delays. He should look for the runway lengths. Right. He should look for the alternatives, like alternate airports, alternative routes, all those things, and also the fuel requirements. Okay. Which persons on board an aircraft are required to use seat belts and when? So the seatbelts requirement is that if you are in a US registered civil aircraft, every single person on board must occupy an approved seat or berth with a safety belt. And if the shoulder harness is installed, you should use the shoulder harness. The only exception is if the person is less than 2 years old, then he can like sit on the lap of a grown up of an adult. What responsibility does the pilot in command have concerning passengers and their use of seat belts? So basically, it boils down to briefing that the pilot should not take off the aircraft before briefing every single passenger that how to fasten and unfasten the safety belt or say seat belt. And if the airplane is equipped with the shoulder harness, he needs to explain it to the passengers how to use that. When are flight crew members required to keep their seat belts and shoulder harnesses fastened? So the when is it a requirement that the seat belts should be fastened? So during takeoff and landing and while en route, each required flight crew member shall keep their seat belt fastened while uh, at their station. Right. During takeoff and landing, this includes shoulder harnesses if installed, unless it interferes with other required duties. So the answer is for these VFR IFR flights, you should be keeping the seat belts fastened all the time. Those were the things I wanted to cover. Thanks for watching.